reburied it so that you could get it later.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
He said, you know Will me, you know Diddy made me suck his penis, you know what's going on, you know Charlie made me suck. Well, I'm gonna give you a chapter from the book since I owed you something.
Okay.
In the book, in one of the chapters, it talk about mentorship.
That he know that Will Smith, Jaden, he Bryshere and he Nick Mills, and you know Bilal. Now you know how far in the desert you run. You'll go from a Philly to a sand, but they'll still get you.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No.
But you have a lot of associates, is what we call them.
Yeah, I have a lot of associates. I don't discriminate women. I don't, ladies.
An actor known for his role in the hit television series Empire is facing charges.
They want you to believe Bryshere Gray just lost it, that he fumbled his career, got caught up in drugs, and spiraled because fame was too much. But the internet is asking a much darker question now. What if Bryshere didn't fall off on his own? What if he was pulled into something behind the scenes, chewed up, and then thrown away when he stopped being useful? And now, of all people, Nicki Minaj is being pulled into the conversation because fans swear her recent rants and cryptic warnings sound like she's pointing at the exact kind of industry machine that destroyed Bryshere. So before we get into it, hit like and subscribe, because these stories don't just disappear, they get buried. And the more people watching, the harder it is for powerful names to control the narrative.
Both bisexual, they do weird things in their house, and young men have left their house screaming to get away from them in their mentorship. Meek Mills, Bryshere Gray, left that house screaming. August the only one that stayed, and I guess he was really sick. He needed a dog.
Now, let's start with what made Bryshere's situation so disturbing in the first place. It wasn't just that he fell from the spotlight, it was how fast and how violently his life seemed to collapse. One minute he's Hakeem on Empire, one of the biggest shows on TV, the face of a new generation. The next minute, he's trending for all the wrong reasons. Erratic clips, strange behavior, public breakdowns, and people laughing like it's just another celebrity crash out. But the reason this story keeps resurfacing is because there have been whispers for years that Bryshere's decline wasn't random. It was allegedly connected to a mentorship pipeline, the same kind of pipeline Hollywood has been accused of running forever, where young talent gets guided by powerful adults, placed into exclusive rooms, introduced to the right people, and told it's all opportunity. But behind those doors, the mentorship allegedly turns into ownership. And when the person finally breaks, the industry doesn't protect them. It watches them self-destruct, then uses that collapse as proof they were unstable all along. That's why so many people online don't view Bryshere's spiral as just mental health anymore. They view it as a trauma response. And the timeline is what makes people suspicious.
They trying to slay him out so he'll feel too embarrassed to file his lawsuit against Diddy for what Will and Diddy did to him. With Jaden and Justin present, that tape exists.
Okay.
I really hope none of that baby oil was used on those kids. That would just be in bad taste. Baby oil on babies.
You can't say that the flavor camp was sponsored by Johnson & Johnson. You just come on. Come on.
Starting to sound that way, ain't it?
No.
All that talent, and she let Charlie tune that boy up on knowing that he was bipolar and had ADHD. What kind of mother would do that to her son? Turn him into a prostitute so you could pretend to be something more than what you are, which is nothing more than a Philly whore. You're a whore. You're a big old and they're making your son out to be, that's for sure. Because he didn't have no choice. You was down by all. I'm sorry. The Bryshere conversation for me is not easy. because I came to Bilal and I asked Bilal to help me save the kids, and all he was worried about was his fucking book.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Nobody care
Definitely.
about these kids. Don't nobody care about these kids.
Bryshere's public behavior started getting more chaotic over time, and eventually he began doing adult content online, which shocked a lot of fans. Now, nobody is saying there's something wrong with him choosing that path, but people keep pointing out the context. Because Bryshere didn't start doing that while looking confident and in control. He started doing it while already appearing unstable, already looking like someone who had been through something. And in the middle of all that, rumors began spreading that he had once considered filing a massive lawsuit tied to exploitation allegations involving powerful industry figures. The story goes that it was supposed to be worth tens of millions, and then it disappeared. No major legal war, no big public statement, no follow-through, just silence, while Bryshere continued unraveling. And once that rumor hit the internet, the conversation stopped being, "Why is he acting like this?" and turned into, "What happened to him?" Now, the loudest name that keeps getting attached to Bryshere's story is Jaguar Wright, because she didn't speak on it like gossip, she spoke on it like a system. She claimed Bryshere was passed around and exploited under the disguise of a mentorship arrangement, and she specifically pointed to his former manager, Charlie Mack, as the person who allegedly facilitated it. According to Jaguar, Bryshere was basically handed off to powerful men who were supposed to mentor him, and that mentorship allegedly became something much darker.
You know, but when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and punked out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man.
She described alleged freak-offs, situations where things went on for hours, and even claimed Bryshere tried to escape at times, but was dragged back in. Now, these are allegations, but the reason they hit harder in recent years is because the public has watched similar accusations come out about other people in that same world. And when Cassie's claims about extended freak-off-style sessions became part of the public conversation, it made Jaguar's words sound less like wild internet fantasy and more like a disturbing possibility. And then the story got even uglier when people started repeating claims about Bryshere's mother. There have been rumors that she allegedly knew her son was being placed into these mentorship environments, and that she agreed because she believed it would lead to money, connections, and a better life. Some people even claim she benefited financially. Again, those are allegations, but what makes them so explosive is how they reframe Bryshere's entire life. Because if a young man wasn't protected at home and wasn't protected in the industry, then he was never safe anywhere. And that's why so many people don't see Bryshere as a joke anymore. They see him as someone who got set up from the start. Now, the names that make this story feel truly dangerous are the ones fans keep connecting to the alleged abuse.
Bryshere Gray, one of the stars of the hit show Empire. Tonight we're seeing hours of new video from his July arrest that ended with his wife flagging down police and telling them the actor had assaulted her for hours inside their Goodyear home. The bizarre jailhouse interview lasting for 2 hours as they try to piece together a chaotic chain of events.
Will Smith and Diddy, those are the names that make the internet stop laughing and start listening, because those aren't random producers or background executives. Those are global power figures with influence, money, and protection. And the claims people keep circulating suggest Bryshere was allegedly used, controlled, and humiliated behind closed doors. Not as a one-time incident, but as an ongoing situation. And the scariest part about allegations like this is the power dynamic. Because if you're a teenager or a young actor trying to make it, and you're suddenly in rooms with men who can make your career or end your life in Hollywood, you don't have real consent. You have pressure, you have fear, you have survival. That's why the phrase "they used him" hits so hard, because even if you don't know what's true, you can see the result. You can see a man who looks like he's been broken. Now, the person who really sent this conversation into overdrive recently was Will Smith's former assistant, Brother Bilal. Bilal described a moment where Bryshere allegedly broke down crying and confessed what had been happening to him. He claimed Bryshere said things like Diddy made him do certain acts, Will was involved, and Charlie Mack was involved, and Bilal didn't stop there. He claimed there were recordings. He suggested that Jada had tapes, and that when they come out, people will finally know he's telling the truth. And once you introduce the idea of tapes, this stops being about gossip. Because tapes mean leverage, tapes mean blackmail, tapes mean silence.
I said, what the F is wrong with you? And he was like, you know. He said, you know Will me, you know Diddy made me suck his penis. You know what's going on, you know Charlie made me suck. And I said, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea. So he crying, no blood is coming from his nose. Yes, you do, yes, you do.
Who else did you see allegedly on the tapes?
Tyrese with Will and Jada. Then the one with Charlie Mack and Will. Jada's not on it, but you can hear her say, make him spit up, period. So when these tapes come out, people will know I'm telling the absolute truth.
And that's where people start understanding why Bryshere might never have followed through with a lawsuit, even if he wanted to. Because how do you fight someone who has the power to destroy you socially, financially, and psychologically? How do you go up against people who can turn the world against you by painting you as crazy, unstable, or addicted? That's the oldest trick in Hollywood. When someone starts talking, they don't argue the facts. They attack the person. They call them mentally ill. They call them a liar. They call them bitter. And once the public accepts that label, the person is done. And Bryshere's public record made that even easier, because after Empire, his life got messy fast. In 2020, he was arrested after a domestic incident where police were called, and footage later showed him behaving erratically in custody. People watched those clips and didn't see a criminal mastermind. They saw someone detached from reality, someone spiraling, someone who needed help. And then the most heartbreaking detail of all, more recent reports that police were called again because he allegedly tried to harm himself. And once you hear that, you realize this isn't just celebrity drama. This is a human being collapsing in real time. Now, where does Nicki Minaj fit into all of this? Because Nicki didn't directly say Bryshere Gray in her tweets, but fans are convinced her recent posts about powerful people, rituals, handlers, and hidden evil in the industry are her coded way of referencing cases like his. Nicki has been tweeting about the industry like she's watching something sinister unfold, like she's warning people that the truth is bigger than they think. Some people dismiss it as paranoia, but others believe she's hinting at what she knows without saying names, because saying names is how you get sued, blacklisted, or worse. And that's why people think her timing matters, because as Bryshere's story resurfaces, and as more voices like Jaguar, Terrence Howard, and Brother Bilal pile onto the same theme mentorship turning into exploitation, Nicki's tweets start sounding less random and more like she's adding gasoline to a fire that's already burning. And that's the real reason this conversation is getting so loud right now. Not because people suddenly care about Bryshere, but because the public is finally realizing how many young stars have the exact same story. Chosen, surrounded, used, broken, then mocked when they collapse. So the question isn't just what happened to Bryshere Gray. The question is, how many more Brysheres exist, still trapped in the same system, still being told it's mentorship, while their entire life is being quietly stolen behind the scenes? And if this story is even partially true, then the most chilling part isn't the allegations themselves. It's the fact that Bryshere's breakdown might not be the end of the story. It might be the warning sign, because when someone is spiraling this hard, this publicly, this painfully, it usually means there's a truth they can't carry anymore. So now I want to know what you think. Do you believe Bryshere was just another celebrity who couldn't handle fame? Or do you believe he was pulled into something dark, used by powerful people, and left to fall apart once he stopped being profitable? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is one of those stories where the silence is louder than the headlines.